Robot Adventures review of Transformers 5 The Last Night. Goodbye. And I actually shot this out of order because I thought I had pressed the record button and I started recording, and my thoughts before watching The Last Night and my expectations and some of the things I was going into the movie knowing. Well, I knew a lot of the story, the lore, and the history, and who the characters were. And I saw a couple of reviews, and so this is me talking about that. And then there'll be a cut, and then after watching the movie, what I thought about it. So I have a lot of notes on the movie, and but I'm gonna wait till my next video to do the plot holes, errors, questions, cliffhanger stuff. Alright guys, so I think the first thing I got is me talking about who these guys are. So if you don't know who these guys are, well then maybe you need to know who these guys are. Hope you enjoy. So, yeah, so, according to some of the lore that I read about Primus and Unicron, it's very similar to the old, I guess, Greek or, mythology where the two brothers fight, and, apparently Unicron was trapped within an asteroid, and I guess that asteroid became Earth. And this is what I'm just guessing at the story might be if they had a writer who actually went through the lore and stuff. Saying that, if the Cybertronians knew that Earth was Unicron, and at the very beginning of the movie, then at the very beginning of part 1, which if they're gonna like redact and change how things were written and stuff, and try to make sense of the whole series, then I think that's a good attempt, but you know that there was a writer's strike, and they had like 3 weeks to make this film, and Michael Bay and the writers didn't know what the fuck they were doing and stuff like that. So there was a big fucking pile of shit along the franchise there. So to try to go back and try to fix some of the problems that they had at the beginning, like for example, one of the main problems at the beginning was like, who the fuck told the Autobots that the Matrix or the Allspark was on Earth? Who told them that? At the very opening scene of the first Transformers, like, and then we got news that the Allspark was on Earth. Who the fuck told you that the Allspark was on Earth? How did that happen in the timeline? And Revenge of the Fallen with the other primes, they could do something like that if that is explained. And from some of the reviews that I've seen, apparently the 13 Knights Like Optimus is one of the 13 He's not one of the original like Vector Prime or Sentinel Prime or all the other all of the original Unicron. Was that? Did you? No. Primus made the 13 primes and to house his spirit and stuff like that. And then Unicron corrupted the Fallen, and I forget his name, but so that was the 13 primes lore right there. I'm interested to see in what they do with it. From what I've heard, it's just a bunch of. I think I've seen 3, maybe 5 or 6 reviews. I saw Angry Joe's review of it, and he didn't know what the fuck it was going on. And I saw like the guy who stands in front of the red screen and just does choppy videos, Jeremy something. I saw his video, and he I think he rated it dog shit. I kind of skipped through it just to see the rating. And there was another guy, I forgot his name. He stands in front of a bunch of videos, and he said he wasn't a Michael Bay hater, and he kind of liked this one better than Age of Extinction. But none of them really talked about. I saw this girl's video. This lady, I think she works for some organization, and the black nerd guy, which I don't think he really knows the lore very well, or he didn't read the comics, or I'm not really sure because he didn't explain that in his review. He just said it was kind of shitty, or no, he just said he tried to find 5 good things about it. But yeah, I didn't really get like in-depth analysis of how the lore is and what happens and how the story's written. Apparently, it might. Oh, I did hear this one comment that, like other Transformers videos, the story is super complex, but very simplistic. Maybe it's like very lore intensive, but to simplify it, they kind of just cut through it or something. I heard that Anthony Hopkins and that the girl is in there just for just to be in there to get the female audience in the theater, and yeah, that is just a convoluted, incoherent, plotless movie with a bunch of action scenes. That's what I'm thinking. So I was hoping that it would be a 0.5 off, 5 out of 10, just so that it wouldn't be shit. I'm thinking most people rate it around maybe a 3 or something like that. So it's pretty shitty. But what I want to see is oh, and they also set up the next one where they're gonna actually try to fight Unicron. And there are also apparently the other spin-offs and stuff like that. So they're gonna try to do the Hasbro universe with like G.I. Joe crossovers and stuff like that. So they've got a bunch of movies planned for this thing. And the best part of it is that it is Michael Bay's hopefully final Transformers movie, which would be great because maybe they're going to, and maybe it's because they're going to try to do crossovers and stuff like that, and then they're going to use the Transformers in a way that's more in line with the comics or something, and their storyline makes more sense. I don't know, because there is a story with the Quintessons. Oh yeah, also know that there's the Quintessons and stuff, and some other Transformers, and it's going to be interesting. I heard that there's the Anthony Hopkins' character has a Transformer as his butler, but unless they use the Allspark on him to give him a soul, I don't know where he got his soul from. So he's not sentient, or he's just a robot, not a Transformer. I don't know how that actually plays, because Primus gives sentience to all of the Transformers. And Primus being Cybertron, if that still holds in this Michael Bay universe. So, why was Cybertron going to come and try to kill the Earth? I don't know. I don't know if they're going to explain that. There's so many things so many plot holes that haven't been explained, and I don't know if they're going to be explaining this. So, that's what I'm going into the movie thinking. So yeah, we'll see how well that holds up, and I'm hoping I enjoy the movie. Then I'll be back with the review of this movie. This is just the beginning, which was about 30 minutes, so the whole thing is going to be probably about an hour talking about Transformers, which might be interesting. The whole thing about medieval times and Arthur, the Transformers giving some kind of weapon to Merlin. Okay, that's a thing that they could have done. Also, what happened to the Egyptian pyramids? Why was that one of the towers, and what was the lore behind that? And why I'm pretty sure Arthur came after the pyramids, so how did that play in the timeline? And so there's gonna be a bunch of shit that's like, wow, that was crappy, or people don't know how time works or something. So I'm gonna keep an eye out for that. If the Transformers been around forever, then I mean, basic questions. They have been always stronger and more powerful than humans since the dawn of time. I guess the Autobots were killing the Decepticons and wanted to make friends, and maybe the Autobots were stronger on Earth at the time when they landed. But why were they going to Earth if it was Unicron? And they knew it was Unicron, and they were hunting for the Allspark So I don't know how the timeline works. Alright, so I'm gonna go watch it now, and I'll be back with the review. Maybe face palming a whole shitload of it. But yeah. That's what you get. I mean, it makes money because it's Transformers. I don't think it makes money because it's Michael Bay. If the next movie without Michael Bay makes a shitload more money, then we can feel good about Bay hating. Because, wow, this movie was a lot better than any of the shit. You had the same material, same characters and stuff like that, but it was a lot better. Because they actually, took the backstory into account. They try to have a plot and stuff like that. So once Michael Bay is gone, and the next movie comes out, and the next, and they're so much better, then you can just, I think the legitimate Bay hating will be verified. It's like, wow, yeah, he just is shit, or his plots are shit, or something like that. So, I mean, because it sucks to like a franchise, but to hate the movies. So, all you Dragon Ball Z people is like, oh, I love Dragon Ball, but the movie sucks. Yeah, it's crap, but that's what you got. Alright, I'm gonna go watch the movie. I'll be back for the review. Okay, bye. Alright, welcome back to the post-watch the movie, what I thought video. Come back. When you need more brew, why not try extra brew? This video brought to you by the beverage that I'm drinking. When you need a beverage, why not try this beverage? Click the link to subscribe to the beverage. Fuck you, Ruben. There's no fucking beverage, fucking asshole. There's no link. I want to subscribe. Click the beverage like that. Click on it. So I made a bunch of notes in the dark, and I've only watched it one time, and I was like, okay, well, that's okay, I guess, kind of okay. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff that it's like, why did that happen? And you know, I didn't really. It's like, wow, that didn't make any kind of sense. And I think for lots of the people, the casual Transformer fans, they didn't get the story because it was kind of general theme of who the major players are in the Transformer lore, and kind of like the origin stories, but yeah, you kind of have to know a lot of that stuff, and try to piece it together as they're explaining it, to try to make sense of what could possibly be going on. So, and today I read a Twitter from Too Old for Toys, and he was like, oh, we didn't go see the movie, we watched the Gundam show instead. And I was like, yeah. And to a lot of people who aren't into it, Transformers that much, or want something easy to understand, and that seemed really complex and, you know, all over the place, and yeah, I can see why they just like, wow, this is shit. And I think it kind of was shit if I didn't know what a Unicron was. And spoilers. So yeah, some of the stuff that we already knew is that was like Unicron. They mentioned Unicron, or Unicron's going to be in it and stuff like that. And going into it, I was thinking, okay, we're going to see Unicron or something. We're going to see something, and yeah, we don't get anything. I also knew that Havana was like a place where the Transformers were allowed to hang out in the open, and some of the other stuff I mentioned at the beginning of this video. And after that, after some of the questions that I had going in, like, who, some of the unanswered questions, like who sent the message to Prime to tell him that the Allspark was on Earth in the first movie, that wasn't answered. Unless the Allspark is somehow also the staff, or it's made of the same kind of stuff. So there's a lot of stuff that needs to be, I guess, ironed out, and I want to make another video after this on, and I want to go watch it again, and then on things you probably should know before going into this, watching this movie. Like, you need to have some understanding of, like, what a transformer is, what a prime is, and stuff like that. So you need to have some understanding of kind of what these things mean when people say this stuff and do this stuff, and why they do these stupid things as they do. It's like, oh, okay, well, that might be because of this and this and this. So that's something that maybe the casual fan doesn't have any knowledge of, and so they're going to look at this thing as like, what the fuck was that? I don't get it at all. The same way that I, as a casual Dragon Ball Z fan, it's like, oh, okay, so you just kind of like do like little cartoony kicks and stuff like that, and you just you make a wish on some Dragon Balls? Okay, that makes sense within the explanation of the movie. It's a really shallow, shitty explanation, but within that movie, structure, it's like, okay, well, fucking, that's what they do in Dragon Ball. It's like, okay, it's kind of silly and stupid, but alright, whatever. And that Dragon Ball Evolution movie that was kind of shitty and cheesy and stuff like that, I was like, okay, I guess that's how Dragon Ball is, because I didn't watch the, I've seen the cartoons, but I didn't pay attention. And my brother was more into Dragon Ball, so it was like, oh, that's Vegeta, and that's I don't know, with the monkey boy, I forgot his name, and it's like Dragon Ball's everywhere here in Japan, but I don't give a fuck. Also, Yokai Watch and some other shit, but I don't pay attention to it. Pokemon, I could name maybe 5 Pokemon. Pikachu, Meowth, Squirtle, Jigglypuff, and what's another one? The dragon one, Dragon Zord. No, that's not. That's a Power Ranger. What, Raichu? I think that's another Pikachu. That's like the evolved version of Pikachu, Raichu or something. There, I named 5 Pikachu Pokemon. Yeah. Or I can name a whole bunch more, Riven. You're a fucking asshole. Okay, whatever. Yeah, so I don't follow these other things. But so, with that in mind, people like me who don't follow these other storylines and don't haven't invested their time in that franchise, look at a shitty movie like Dragon Ball Evolutions and think, oh, okay, well, that's probably right. And same for people who who kind of watch Transformers and go, okay, sure, whatever, and they just see giant robots. And in this one, they got a whole bunch of stories, like this happened and this happened and this happened. It's like, what the fuck? I don't get any of that. Well, who the fuck is that, and why did that happen? And so they're getting a whole bunch of lore stuff that it's like, what? Who are the primes and what is this and stuff like that. They don't, which they explain maybe in the comic books and some other stuff. But, the way the shit was filmed before, they didn't even know, and the protoform shit that they had in the in the, what was it, the first one, the second one, when the Fallen was up there, just, it's like, how do you make a new Transformer? And there were so many parts that were just like, in the first 4 movies, that were just like snippets of, oh, this could be something, and this could be something, and this can be something, and they kind of try to tie those all together, which they didn't do, and but they gave it a chance. They gave it a try. It's like, come on, we can do something. So, yeah, there was an effort made. An effort was made to try to tie in some of this shit, and because we do know that the ancient pyramids, which were way before Robin Hood and the Knights of the Round Table and all that stuff, that thing had the sun harvester stuff, and that was one of the reasons why the Fallen was converted by Unicron, because the Fallen wanted to kill Unicron, and Unicron apparently was Earth, and so yeah, so they had harvesters on Earth to get the power from the sun to charge the Allspark and stuff like that. So, and all of that stuff needs to be explained to the casual person who doesn't know what the fuck is going on. So, yeah. But at the end of all that convoluted kind of what the fuck is going all over the place and stuff like that, I kind of liked it, and I thought it was like a good way of explaining how Primus and Unicron want to get energy, and energy is energy, right? And sound wave can convert energon, well, any kind of energy into energon and so you can, what they're just doing is converting stuff in energy into different forms of energy and powering themselves with that, as consuming it as food, quote unquote. So, yeah, so I kind of liked the explanation, those things, and that was kind of shitty for people who didn't want to hear it. So, from my point of view, I liked it, and I gave the movie, I thought, out of 10, 1 to 10, I liked it more than half-assed. I was like, it was better than Indifference. Indifference would be like 5, right? So I kind of like, oh, okay, that was kind of good. And so around, I think maybe around a 6.5 or something like that. I kind of gave it, and of course, fanboy bias right there. And also, it's not a Michael Bay thing. I have no bonus for Michael Bay. There's nothing like, oh, and Michael Bay did it, so it's a plus. No. Michael Bay did it, so it's a negative. But still, the story was kind of interesting, if you could follow it. And they did leave enough mystery for the next series and stuff like that. So, that said, yeah, I think it was kind of interesting. If you're interested in the history of Transformers and where they're coming. But it kind of sucks that it took them five movies to start into the lore, and so I can totally see why people are just trashing this movie. That one YouTube reviewer that stands in front of the red screen and does really choppy videos of him like doing faces and stuff. Jeremy something, I think his name is Jeremy or Jimmy or something. That guy rated it dog shit, and could be dog shit to a lot of people who don't understand it, but yeah, and a couple of other people rated it kind of bad. I think Angry Joe gave it like a 4 or something, 3, maybe a 4. Which isn't that bad as score. It was like sub indifferent. But Angry Joe doesn't really follow the lore and stuff like that. So he didn't know about Harry Potter stuff. So when he rated Harry Potter, it's like, well, I didn't see Voldemort and stuff. Well, maybe because he wasn't born yet or something. So yeah, and didn't catch the stuff about the Deadly Hallows and stuff like that. So there are a lot of if you read through the series and stuff, there are a lot of Easter eggs for people. It's like, oh, that's Deadly Hallows symbol and stuff like that. But a lot of people didn't catch that, I guess, when they were reviewing it because they didn't know the Deadly Hallows symbol or something. Well, they kind of did if they watched the other movies, but anyway, so the Robot Adventures, is there going to be a seal? I don't know. Review of the last night is a 6. It's a good 6, maybe 6.5. I might watch it again. Well, I will watch it again a couple more times. And I want to do the video on what you need to know before you watch this movie, because it's like, you need to know a lot. Alright, so, please tell me why I'm wrong about the rating. I liked all that, the talking, where this and this happened, and this and this happened, and this. I thought it was really good for me. A lot of people don't like that kind of stuff, but I'd rather hear a nice story, and I don't need to see slow motion, like, action scenes all the time. So, alright guys, that was it. I'm going to post this one, and then I'll try to make another one where I talk about all the stuff you need to. This is Unicron's brother. This is Primus. He is Cybertron. So, yeah. So, yeah. What are they going to do with that? So, if there's a Unicron, then there's probably a Primus. And, yeah, how does that work? So, there's a lot of stuff they have to go into, and, but overall, it was a good, fun movie. I liked it, and yeah, if you do a little research, you'll probably enjoy it. If you don't look too deeply into it. All right, guys, it's like 1 o'clock. I'm gonna try to have this render, and then I'll post this up in about 8 hours or so, hopefully. Goodbye. Bye bye.